Hi! How many hours should you practice every day in order to get to the top level of what you can do? In order to get, to mastery, where you're really a well-rounded musician who can do stuff in a relaxed way, where everything's easy now. You don't have to focus on, producing the notes, playing the chords, getting the rhythm right, because it's just natural. It's something that's enormously easy to do, and so you can focus on the music. How many hours should you practice in order to get to that place? And the most important thing, it's the wrong question, really, because of course we can talk about that, and I'm going to give you a number, but it's the wrong question because you can practice 8 hours a day for 10 years and not get there. Seriously, you can. If you don't follow the principles of practicing, and most people not most people, every single person who got to a very high skill level followed the right principles. Some of them did not, but they compensated by the sheer amount of passion and enthusiasm and just powered through. And they ended up with a kind of a weird technique, but they get the job done anyway, right? So that is the main key. It is, how passionate are you? Are you absolutely totally into it? Because that is going to shift your whole body and brain, and you're going to learn at a totally different rate. And if you focus on, I have to do this for 3 hours a day or 4 or 5, you're just going to remain at the level you are and get, improve, but you're never going to explode into that totally different world where everything is effortless on your instrument. Everyone who ever got to that level really had these extremely intense periods of practicing, and then they had, periods of relaxation to some degree, to practicing a little, and then back and forth between being obsessed about it and then not so obsessed, and then back and forth like that. So that's what you should focus on, is getting really high on guitar practicing and learning. But when it comes to hours, you can look at that behavior and say, okay, how many hours was that? And I would say that I went when it was, when it was crazy, it was like 6 hours in a weekend, every day, 6 hours, Saturday, Sunday, maybe 8 hours. And I was impressed by myself then, right? And weekdays, it was like 3 or 4 hours when it was intense. But it was, because I was so obsessed about it at times, months at a time, then I was practicing constantly when I was watching TV, talking to friends, and you can see that when you look at people, how they hold their instrument. You can watch that, you could see that, because some people are really comfortable with it. It's like it's an extension of their body. Everything seems like, it's just like moving their body, and the instrument just blends into that. And then you can see people who haven't really spent enough time with that, with the guitar, is like they look a little bit awkward with it, basically. They look like, it's a thing outside my body, right? And if you want to get to that place where everything is just meh, you really have to spend the time. It has to be a love affair where you cannot not sit with it. And if you're watching this video right now and you could be sitting with the guitar, that's the point, right? You want to be with your instrument every single minute you can. Even though people, start complaining about it and say, "Could you put that away?" No, I couldn't put. I have a son who's shuffling cards, and he's very good at that. And who was constantly told in school, everywhere, "Could you put those away? Put those away? Put those away?" And that's his living now. That's how he makes money, right? But we don't respect that enough. And so you have to be the one who says, I'm going to spend as much time with my instrument as I can. And that whole shift within you, where it goes from being a hobby to an obsession, is what you need in order to make real results. And then the practicing hours, it works by itself. You don't have to focus on how many hours you practice, because you just do it, right? You cannot not, work on your project, be your own results oriented. You want to have that skill. You want to, learn to play those 3 notes on one string. You want to learn those chords, whatever it is. And you're all fired up about it like a little kid before Christmas. And then the hours just, they go by, right? You cannot, it's almost like, and then the choices are easy. And then the hours is not, of course you need hours like you need flour in a cake. But it's not the point. The point is you. The point is how you feel about this. The point is being immersed in practicing at times, right? Going back and forth like that. Because that creates intensity in your practice schedule. It's much more effective to practice like 1,000 hours in 1 month and then not do anything for 11 months than it is to practice 1,000 hours over 12 months. because you shock your whole system. It's like your brain really takes it seriously and starts embedding those patterns in your brain because it's important, right? Because you have intensity, because you think of nothing else almost. Right? If you're a truck driver, whatever you do, you think about it all the time. Every time there's an idle space, you don't think about the news, you don't think about everything else. All you think about is guitar, is learning those scale patterns or remembering what to do or looking forward to practicing. And that's what makes you progress really fast. And then you can forget about how many hours because you're going to make the time, I promise you. So things become a little bit easier there. So that's the answer. Don't focus so much on the time, but focus on being passionate. Focus on taking it seriously. And watch my webinar if you haven't done so already. I'm talking a lot more about that, on putting it on the highest shelf in your brain and body, and how that really makes a huge difference. And you can find the link to that underneath this video. Go to my website right now and download my free course on alternate picking mastery. It contains 5 essential exercises that will take you to alternate picking mastery faster than you can imagine. And then I've included my method of how to lay out a practice plan in just 1 to 2 minutes that will absolutely boost your results like nothing you ever tried before. So go download it right now. It's free.